Jarosław Kaczyński had spoken about his resignation as Deputy Prime Minister and the head of the National Security and Defence Affairs Committee last autumn. The president of the Law and Justice Party had held this position since the 6th of October 2020. I'm not in the government right now. I have already submitted my application for dismissal to the Prime Minister and it has been approved. As far as I know, the President signed it too. Of course, I was supposed to be in the government 4 months less, but the war broke out in Ukraine. Today the course of the war is such that it is not known when it will end. I decided that I had to concentrate on what was most important for the future of Poland. The purpose of elections is to obtain a good election result, and as far as PiS is concerned, winning them and the possibility to exercise power, of course, in the coalition of the United Right, will be the good election result. Of course, Deputy Prime Minister Jarosław Kaczyński will be missed, but it was not a surprise to anyone. Jarosław Kaczyński emphasizes that his goal was to strengthen Poland's security in the face of threats from Russia. This is achieved by the Act on the Defence of the Fatherland, the provisions of which entered into force on the 23rd of April. Work on the Act began last year. The reform introduces an increase in defence spending to 3% of GDP as early as next year, an increase in the size of the professional army, the territorial defence forces and the reserve forces. According to opposition politicians, Jarosław Kaczyński, as Deputy Prime Minister, was supposed to ease tensions in the ruling camp. Prime Minister Kaczyński was such a silent Prime Minister. He rarely spoke up. It is known that he came to the government when there were tensions between Mr. Morawiecki and Zbigniew Ziobro. Jarosław Kaczyński is a politician who ultimately brings everything together, and it shows and gives direction. The fact that we differ with the Prime Minister is a normal thing. The current head of the Ministry of National Defence, Mariusz Błaszczak, is to be appointed the Deputy Prime Minister. In turn, the position of the head of the National Security Committee is to be assumed by Zbigniew Hoffman, currently acting as an advisor to Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki. Of course, the elections are approaching, and Kaczyński can see that the party is not on an uptrend at all. Matters related to the independence of Poland will be considered as absolutely fundamental, and therefore winning the election is a prerequisite, so that this policy is kept. Mariusz Błaszczak has proven himself as the defence minister, and his promotion looks like a good move, says journalist Jacek Prosinowski. He is undoubtedly one of the law and justice politicians who have made the most of this difficult time in recent months. According to the government, the issue of maintaining Polish sovereignty depends on 3 elements, says Piotr Grzybowski, quoting Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki's words during the last convention of Gazeta Polska clubs. The first factor is war, the second is what we expect, the global crisis, and the third factor is the loss of power by the pro-state, pro-national party. Tomorrow at 3 p.m, President Andrzej Duda will change the composition of the Council of Ministers.